And I would like you to share probably 3 to 4 common mistakes that you've observed while working with B2B SaaS brands that they should avoid, like say probably the other SaaS owners should avoid if they want to grow faster.
First of all, not doing it. Second, doing it just for the sake of doing it. Third, copying the entire competitor strategy and telling you and labeling it as your strategy. This doesn't work. I'll tell you why.
I've seen a lot of your LinkedIn posts lately where you've shared your achievements on, your articles being featured in the Google Snippet bit when searched for a certain keyword. So dive a little deeper into that part and, give us that secret sauce of how you have managed your blogs to get up there for any of the brands that you've written.
Okay, A, there is no secret sauce. B, it is something that's very general. Sometimes people just forget to follow the simple things, and they always think to reach there, to have a certain kind of result, they have to take a toughest path, or there has to be very a 50-step checklist to get this done. I'm like, no, that's literally nothing. You just need to analyze the keyword. First of all, let's say the keyword you have is CRM tools. Now you just Google it, and if there is a featured snippet, first of all, analyze it. Why is it on the featured snippet? Is it any kind of phrase or any kind of word that Google is highlighting? Note it down. Sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes you just have to go with the wheel. Every time you just don't have to think out of the box. Sometimes you have to just follow what's working. So people most of times are so much concerned about being original and reinventing the wheel and doing new stuff. They forget that sometimes you just don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to follow what's working and what has been working.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think I agree with the part that you don't always have to necessarily reinvent the wheel. Just figure out what's there in the market, take it, tweak it as per your requirements, and then just get going. I know this thing, but executing this in my life or in my professional life is like an uphill task for me every single time. But yeah, I get where is it coming from. Do you also think that while your blogs are, ranking up there on the Google snippet, it also has to do a lot with the website on which it gets uploaded?
For me, I have my blogs ranked on fairly new websites and also for the enterprise websites like Hubspot and Scribe. But the catch here is that the content has to give something to the audience. If it is just a copy thing of what's on the Google search results existing already, there are chances that the Google might not respond to it. So when it comes to featured snippet, you don't have to reinvent that particular phrase or that particular thing. But when it comes to ranking, you need to think, what do I do to make it better? What do I do to add more information? How do I make it more comprehensive than the competitor articles already are? And results to that is my featured snippet or blog that has been ranking. It has been ranking for a year. That should know, still now I can see that these blogs are ranking and it has occupied the featured snippet. It's very tough it's very easy to get the snippet, but it's very tough to keep the snippet because blogs get published every day and how many, I don't know. So to keep the featured snippet, it's an achievement on its own. So yeah, I think site has to do. You got to distribute the content properly. You need to have the SEO keywords intact. You need to have a good SEO map on the website. It has to be very cohesive. And I don't think that highest domain authority or lowest domain authority makes a lot of difference. But yeah, it makes a difference, but it's not like it's the only thing that contributes to what the content tracks. It's one of the contributing factors, but not the only contributing factor.
Got that. Interesting. So you've mentioned, about comprehensive, everything being a very comprehensive ecosystem okay, let's not even just talk about the Google snippets. Let's just talk about even getting ranked, okay, for the keywords. So what can a writer or say a SaaS business owner who's writing probably blogs for himself or herself can do in terms of research to ensure that it's more of a comprehensive blog that they are putting out and not a copy paste of multiple articles compiled into one?
So it has to be something that your business wants to talk about, something that brings in customers. If you go this thing, it's very common that content marketing, people just do it for the sake of doing it. People have a blog for sake of having blog. People do white papers for the sake of white papers. But the thing is, every content asset that goes into your website needs to have a purpose. Every blog that you publish needs to have a purpose. Now let's say you have got everything on check. You have a blog, you got a topic that's aligns with your marketing needs, aligns with your KPIs and everything. Now you just look at the Google, search the keyword, search the primary keywords, see what kind of results are coming up, what kind of information is already out there. If you see a blog like blog from Hubspot or same rush ranking for the same kind of keyword, you will be getting intimidated that you have a fairly new website. How would you beat them? And honestly, to be speaking, I write for Hubspot and everything, so I know what goes behind the scenes. So I can say that much, you don't have to be intimidated. Even if you are fairly a new website who has just maybe has been around for 6 months or a year, that's okay, that's all right. You need to know that what's working for you. HubSpot's content or any other big enterprise content, if you go and read it, it needs work. It needs work. Enterprises are afraid of experimentation. You as a startup have this advantage over them, that you can experiment, that you can use humor in your content, you can use emojis or emoticons or any kind of stuff that's not being used by them. Startups are taking advantage of this thing and outranking enterprises every day. So first of all, define your brand's voice. Think how would you like to be projected in front of your audience. Third, see what is already going around in the search results. And then go around communities. Ask people, if I'm writing a blog on XYZ topic, how do you think it can be added more value to the people or more the customer? And I'm saying to the customer-centric communities. Like let's say you're writing a blog for customer success managers, go ahead and just put your questions on any kind of forum or Slack community for the customer success people and see what people are answering. Use this insights to write it into your blog, to add it into your blog, and you can access a lot of subject matter experts from all over the world. You can easily put out a request on LinkedIn, help a B2B writer or Haro, to just harness all the expertise in it. Sometimes you maybe need to hear a lot to write better. Maybe you need to read a lot to write better. So first of all, listen what your customers want to know. Don't just put in what you think that they want to know. Don't just assume, just ask them.
Fair enough. So to summarize this piece of conversation, I would say that knowing your brand tone of voice, knowing how do you want to position yourself in front of your target audience, and above all, knowing who exactly is your TG and how do they speak and what are their pain points. All of this is essential before getting started with the content marketing strategy.
Exactly.
So all of this, in my opinion, or rather actually falls under branding, right? As a brand strategy as a whole. So do you feel that brand strategy is a prerequisite to content marketing strategy?
It definitely is, but let's say you are a startup and you are figuring out on its way, then I don't think it's the mandatory thing, but it is one of the most important things that you need to fix, like as you move ahead, as you let's say it's 6 months into the strategy and everything is going good, and you do the A/B tests, right? You do the split tasting. First of all, maybe you will try humor in your content if your audience is connecting to it. And then you'll try a very thought leadership kind of piece if it's connecting to your audience. That's a good thing. As you experiment, you will know what's working and what's not working, what kind of tone is something that your audience is responding to. And then you can easily comprehend this into a very structured document. But I think that content and branding team needs to work together to make it much, much better. Because content team has the KPIs, has all the kind of responding kind of reactions, and has all the metrics that branding team needs in order to proceed with the better guidance, proceed with better stuff. So I think both of the teams need to work together. And no, it's not the main prerequisite, but it is one of the requirements as you move ahead with your product, with your website, with your strategy.
So you eventually have to have it in place once you have your MVP.
Yeah, definitely. I can relate because when I started working with one of my clients, it's a very huge client right now. They didn't have any kind of they were not very famous or they were not very huge back then. But right now they're very huge. And when I started working with them, did they have any branding document in place? No. Did they have any editorial standards place for freelancers? No. They did not have anything documented. But as months went, it was 6 months in the place, I remember the person who was a POC sent the branding guidelines to me. 6 to 8 months in the progress, which it is completely fine to not have in the place as you start. But as you move ahead, it's one of the requirements, because you will be working with a lot of people. You'll be hiring a lot of people. There will be misconduct. There will be misalignment of people. But let's say you are outsourcing work to freelancers. The way I write won't be same as how the way I write. And there will be some miscommunication, misalignment in the content, which can be easily be seen. Sometimes you'll read the two pieces from the same company and you'll see that there is this tone, there is that tone. Huge difference. So yeah, you need to have this these things in place to maintain consistency in your brand.
Fair enough. So now that you're talking about consistency and consistency in brand tone of voice and across, and it's a work in progress. Branding is for sure a work in progress. But now let's move a little into, and I would like you to share probably 3 to 4 common mistakes that you've observed while working with B2B SaaS brands that they should avoid, like say probably the other SaaS owners should avoid if they want to grow faster.
First of all, not doing it. Second, doing it just for the sake of doing it. Third, copying the entire competitor strategy and telling and labeling it as your strategy. This doesn't work. I'll tell you why. Even if you have same products, same features, still won't work, because the way your customer responds to one brand is different to other brand. Now let's say you will not go asking same thing from McDonald's as you saying to Burger King, right? Though they sell the same things. They have fries, they have burgers, they have Happy Meal, and they have the meal. You still don't go and ask the same things, right? Why? Because you know the ingredients are different, the way, the taste is different and everything is different. So even if you have same products, it still won't work, because maybe your product is better than your competitors, or maybe the way you position yourself in the market is different than theirs. So copying your competitor strategy won't work, so don't do it. Fourth is just focusing on one channel, or not going into thinking that what are the channels that your audience is looking at. Now, let's say a video marketing tool. Maybe your audience is on YouTube. Maybe your audience is on Vimeo, or maybe your audience is on TikTok, Instagram, Reels, whatever. But if you think that having a blog is just enough for customer acquisition, you're wrong. You need to diversify. Now, for example, Weed does it all. Right now, it does it all. It does blog, it does YouTube, it does TikTok, it does everything. They can afford right now to do everything. But as they began with 2 things, YouTube and blog. They scaled it up. And Diana, if you're listening to this, hats off to you. I've worked with you, I know how hard you work. So I know it goes a lot into the making. So I know that when you're starting, you think that you do this, you do that. No, just focus on 1 or 2 channels where audience is literally hanging out. They should know, they should hear you. Now, for example, you are a tool of CRM softwares. Your audience is maybe reading blogs. Obviously, they might be reading blogs. Your audience might be reading newsletters. You need to think that where your audience is hanging out before you just jump into and just okay, we need a content marketing, let's just launch a blog. Let's just launch ebooks. Unless your audience is reading it, there is no use of doing it. And the next would be, if you have been into the market for a while, you have some content assets, not auditing them frequently, and always publishing new pieces and not paying attention to the existing pieces that you published maybe a year back or 6 months back, and not understanding why is it not working for you, why these pieces are not working, why these pieces are not ranking or not converting at all, not going into the strategy again and just reflecting on it. These things, startups miss a lot.
Fair enough. So I think, you've mentioned a lot of points, of which I particularly could grasp and relate to is firstly is the diversification piece, which I feel is industry agnostic. You need to be really hanging out where your audience is hanging out, and for that you need to understand your target customers. Secondly, not having content at all. I mean, I know a lot of businesses, I wouldn't call them brands just because they're famous, is that they run a lot of performance marketing ads and people know them because of those ads. But otherwise, if they stop running ads, I can challenge that they cannot make sales after a point. So these are two major things that I could relate to of all the points that you have mentioned. I want to ask you one last question before we move on to a surprising section of this podcast. Is that for a nascent stage SaaS business, what would be your content strategy to help them grow and be seen in front of their audience in a longer span of say 6 months to 1 year?
Okay, it's an nascent stage. It should be around for at least 6 months. The MVP should be there. And while one of the mistakes that I forgot to highlight that startups make is they think their product needs to be pitch perfect before they start with the content marketing activities, which is sheer short no. I'll tell you why. Because people need to see your product to find mistakes in it. People need to use your product to see if that MVP is perfect or not. So you got to start with your content marketing, because let's say today you launched with a pitch perfect product and it has been a year since you launched an MVP, but you now need sales to pay your employees, to pay your designers, to pay your developers. How would you do that unless you have some customers into the bracket? So content marketing or any sort of marketing activities should start as your MVP product is in, like MVP is still in place. You should not wait around having a pitch perfect product. So for a nascent startup, I would go around first. I would ask them about their product. I'll take a test around the product. I'll use the product as much as I can, just know the product very nicely. Second, details about their target audience. How, because as they have been around, they have been selling to people, they should have details about how their customer react to their product, how do they speak, how do they talk. Third, and what makes them purchase, what makes them say, yes, let's just do it. And third is there, if they have some kind of content assets, if they followed any sort of content strategy or any sort of content assets in place, any blogs, any ebooks, any white papers, any case studies, I will ask for their audits. I will ask what are their reports, their performance, how did they perform. And if I see that the pieces or the content was something that they needed or is something that aligns with their needs, I will refresh it to the updated standards, make it much, much better so that it ranks. And next will be involving any stakeholders into the place and asking their opinions and asking, getting all the approvals, getting all the reviews, and asking what do they want right now, what should be the KPI. Because as marketers, even like traffic as a metric is a very nice thing. It gets us going. But for stakeholders, a metric is something that doesn't excite them. I'm like, okay, 1,000 people visited the site, so what? How many people bought it? Yeah. How many people bought it? Stakeholders don't care about metrics like, like traffic or how many people clicked on certain CTA. They do not have any kind of interest in it. They just need, if this has the goal, how much did it contribute to that goal? So asking stakeholders that what do they expect from the content marketing activities is a very, very crucial thing to do. Once I get their buy-in, I'll start researching around, I also talk to competitors. So I talk to competitors as well, that how do things have been working for them, how did they start and everything, just to get things like get running, just to get an idea that how did they begin, what is their content marketing strip, map sort of thing. Sneaky, but okay. And then I would also join a lot of customer-centric communities, ask around the questions that I need to know before they make a purchase around. Let's say if they're selling to marketers, I will ask around marketers, let's say it's SEO software. And I'll ask around people that what makes us marketers to say yes to a product, to say yes to SEO product before. What kind of tools or what kind of features do they look for? What kind of support do they need? Anything that gives me better insight of what customer wants or not. And after that, obviously, I'll make a very nice plan regarding this content funnel. There's like top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel content pieces. What kind of content assets should we focus on? Maybe we need a newsletter. Maybe we need some gated content assets. Maybe we need some social media posts, or maybe we need some blogs. And that depends entirely upon the research that we do. What kind of content do they like to read? What kind of things make them say yes to the decision? And then kind of onwards, there is like 3 months, we consistently follow the strategy and we reflect if it's working, if it's not working, and if it's not working, we reinvent it, we change it. But most of the times people like to wait on for 3 to 6 months, but I like to go reflect on it in a month, or let's say in a month or two. It gives me an idea if things are working or not working, and I just can shift the bandwidth or shift the entire scenario in time without losing a lot of things, without losing a lot of time, without losing a lot of conversions in that period.
So I think from what I'm summarizing from this particular piece of conversation is that even when I say a nascent stage, it has to have 6 months into the beta testing phase. You cannot be stopping out on, like you cannot not start content marketing while you are in the beta phase, right? You have to get started with it, and then you need to have a lot of things in place. You need to have your KPIs in place from both the stakeholders point of view and content marketing team and the sales team point of view. So that's what you do, amalgamating all of it and cohesively. Okay, with this, as we are coming to the last part of the section of this podcast, which is the rapid fire round. And what you're expected to do here is rate the content marketing strategy of this particular SaaS brands on a scale of 1 to 5.
Oh my God, you're putting into a pickle, but okay, let's do it.
Well, everyone who comes here has to play this game with me now, because I just love seeing how spot on can you get. Again, first one is buffer.
Out of
5.
On the 5. 4.5.
Sprout social.
5.
Oh, Monday.
Four.
Or do you want to go less? But you can't.
I do want to go less, but let's
go less. Let's go less. Let's be honest. I'm sure no one's seeing from the Monday team.
I really do. But I think I would rate around 3.5 or 3.8, somewhere between that. Yeah.
Airtable.
4.
Hubspot. You can't kill me.
See, I want to say a number, but I don't want to say that number, so I'll just say 4.
You have to. You are on camera. You have to.
I think 3.5.
3.5. Okay. And the last one, Loom.
Loom. It's non-existent to me, actually. I mean, I don't see a lot of content on their blog. So I think 3 or 3.5 is the max that I can give, because I have never seen Loom's content. I barely do see it. I remember someone calling out for writers to hire for Loom, but then I have never seen a lot of content on their channel.
I think probably that they're not into blogs because they're more on the video side.
Not really. Even in the video side, the thing is, listen, you see brands name. I have researched a shit ton of video keywords because I used to write for Weed and everything, but I've never seen Loom coming up either. But I do hope they start the thing that people actually don't see our content out there.
So they need to hire Aanchal to get their content marketing in place. Loom, this is your pitch from Aanchal. Well, coming to the end of the podcast, thank you so much, Aanchal, once again for coming here, sharing your experience of the whole content marketing space and how the SaaS brands can grow through your strategies, and of course the whole sneaky piece of competitor research, which I'll be sharing with all my listeners once I have it from you without quoting you. Thank you so much, Aanchal.
Thank you so much, Divya, for having me, and follow her, guys. Subscribe to her channel. She's amazing and her content is amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. You are one of the kindest guests I've had. Of course, everyone's kind, but you just like the least.
I was gonna DM you after this gets published and they see this part and then they see you're the kindest person. They're like, what about us, Divya?
Well, that was a powerful, insightful, and valuable podcast with Aanchal Parmar, and I hope you feel the same after listening to this podcast episode and had fun listening to our banters as well while you were learning. Do not forget to share with me in the comments below your learnings from this conversation. Hit the subscribe button, click on the bell icon to stay tuned for the next upcoming videos. And I'll see you soon. This is Divya Shah signing off.